There is a map of the world in your head, and it is made of food. Thailand is pad thai, Vietnam is pho, India is butter chicken, Ireland is corned beef and cabbage, Korea is barbecue, America is a hamburger. You did not choose that map, you just have it. And then we read thousands of people answering one question about the country they actually live in. What is the best food here? Almost none of them named the dish you just pictured. Not sometimes, not in a few places, nearly everywhere in the same direction, which is worth explaining because it is the whole idea behind this channel. Ask one person about their country's food and you get an opinion. Ask 10,000 and count what they actually say, and the opinions turn into something else, a pattern. Something none of them could see on their own. No single person in this video knows the answer. All of them together do. Start with Thailand, because the answer there is the loudest. People who live there are baffled that pad thai is the dish that represents them. They list what should have gone instead: rich northern curries, sour, fragrant soups, dishes that never left. The Philippines. Adobo is the one you know. The answer comes back polite but firm. It is fine. It is too simple. Send karakia instead. Oxtail in a thick peanut sauce. Korea. Bibimbap, which one person describes, flatly, as leftovers. What your mother made when there was too much banchan sitting in the fridge. They would send you a bone broth simmered for a day, or a stew you would probably never order on purpose. Ireland is blunter than everyone. Corned beef and cabbage. It is not Irish. Hold that one. We come back to it. India. Over and over, from people who have never spoken to each other. Butter chicken is northern. It is half British. And there is an entire south of the country that the world has simply never met. France would quietly swap the famous stew for a humbler one that feeds you twice. And America does not say hamburger. America says barbecue. Notice what nobody is doing here. Nobody is being modest. Nobody says our food is nothing special. Every single one of them has a better dish and a name for it, ready to go. Quadu Britigettes. They are not embarrassed by their food. They are embarrassed by their ambassador. Which raises a question nobody ever asks. Who chose these dishes? In 2001, one country answered that question by simply deciding. The Thai government founded a company with a single job: put Thai restaurants on the entire planet. The target was 3,000, and they did not sit back and hope. The state offered loans to Thai nationals opening restaurants abroad. The government ministry published a manual for Thai chefs going overseas. It covered recruitment, training, and what foreigners actually like to eat. They built prototype restaurants you could copy. Menu, layout, deck, and they issued an official stamp of approval, so a diner 8,000 miles away could see it on the window and trust it. Then they named pad thai the national dish. Today there are not 3,000. There are many times that. It worked so completely that other countries took the playbook and ran it themselves. Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Peru, Malaysia. There is a word for it now: gastrodiplomacy. So the dish is not a favorite. It is a policy. Pad thai is not what Thailand eats. It is what Thailand sent. Most countries never ran a campaign. Their menu was chosen for them by whoever happened to leave. The Indian food the world knows is a handful of northern dishes, localized. In Britain, much of it was built by Bangladeshi kitchens. Chicken tikka masala was invented in Glasgow. Britain's national dish is Indian, and most of the British seem completely fine with that. And the third answer is the simplest. Some food travels, and some food does not. De weeklepper leaf. Cosy crosses a borders. De court east, de crack. A complicated one stays home. So does the ingredient. One voice points out you often cannot even buy what the real version needs. The dish that represents your country is not your best one. It is your most portable one. Which brings us to the strangest part of all of this. In 1954, a young man leaves Greece on a boat, heading for Canada. The boat stops in Naples, and that is where he eats pizza for the first time in his life. Years later, he is running a diner in a small Ontario town, serving burgers all-day breakfast and Americanized Chinese food. He likes what sweet and sour does. So one day in 1962, he opens a tin of pineapple, a Greek man, in Canada, putting a Chinese-American idea onto an Italian dish and naming it after Hawaii. Decades later, the president of Iceland announced it should be banned. It goes on. The California roll has two rival origin stories, and neither of them is California. But both versions are the same story anyway. A Japanese chef, far from home, turning the roll inside out to hide the seaweed because his customers would not eat it. And the Danish pastry is Austrian. Danish bakers went on strike in 1850. The owners hired Austrians, and the technique never left. In Denmark, they call it Viennese bread. In Vienna, they call it Copenhagen pastry. Each country politely hands it to the other. Now go back to Ireland. Corned beef and cabbage. In Ireland, it was bacon and cabbage. Pork, because beef was for people with money. Then Irish immigrants land in New York, in the poorest blocks, next door to Jewish neighbors. And the brisket at the local butcher is cheap, salty, and tastes remarkably like home. The most Irish meal in the world is a memory of Irish bacon, made from a Jewish cut in an American slum. Read enough of these answers and something else appears. It has nothing to do with cooking. Some countries apologize. The Dutch are harder on Dutch food than any foreigner would dare to be. And then other Dutch people arrive to argue with them and say, we have a blind spot for our own things. The Dane says nobody abroad even knows what Danish food is. Canadians and Americans both say a version of the same line. Our best food is everybody else's food, and other countries physically cannot narrow it down. Italians refuse outright and warn that choosing one dish would start a war between provinces. Indians say it again and again, independently. You do not understand how much there is. A person can live and die without meeting a recipe from 100 kilometers away. That is not a gap in how well a country cooks. It is a gap in whether the world ever bothered to look. And when the world does look, people fight. Somebody ran a competition online for the best national breakfast. Ecuador against Peru. It escalated until the president of Ecuador got involved. And fast food chains were posting about it. By living of Otis wrongs, he came cold. And when Mexico appeared, the anger was not about losing. It was that the dish chosen to represent them had been cooked badly. One person, somewhere in all of that, says the quiet part out loud. People argue about whose food is best because they want their country to be known. The dish that represents your country is a passport photo. It is really you. It is officially you. And nobody has ever looked like their passport photo. Nobody's food is bad. Some countries got a photographer, and some did not. So if you ever want to know what a country actually tastes like, do not order the famous thing. Ask somebody who grew up there what their mother used to make. And if your country's dish is wrong, tell us what it should have been. We are still counting.